One short phone call, no face shown, no name spoken, just Tommy listening in silence. And in that silence, the power universe quietly tells us that something big is about to change. This was not a normal call. This was a warning, a promise, and a setup for something much bigger than Chicago. Tommy Egan is not a man who pauses for long. He reacts fast, talks straight, and usually lets violence answer his problems. That is why this phone call stands out so much. When the phone rings, Tommy doesn't joke. He doesn't threaten. He doesn't rush the call. Instead, he listens. That alone tells us the person on the other side matters. In a show full of loud moves and bold actions, silence becomes the loudest clue. The timing of this call is just as important as the call itself. Tommy is already dealing with pressure from all sides. Chicago is unstable. Trust is thin. Enemies are watching his every move. This is not the moment for casual talk. So when the writers place this call right here, they are clearly telling us that this person connects to Tommy's next step, not his past, his future. Whatever was said in that moment is meant to guide what comes next. Notice how the show avoids giving us clear answers. We don't hear the voice clearly. We don't get a name. We don't even get a reaction that explains everything. Instead, we get Tommy's face tightening, his mood shifting, and his energy changing. This is classic power storytelling. When the show hides details, it usually means the truth is bigger than we expect. The mystery itself becomes the message. Another key detail is how private the call feels. Tommy doesn't share it with anyone. No backup, no crew, no second opinion. That tells us this connection is personal. This isn't just business. This is someone who knows Tommy beyond Chicago, someone tied to his past life, his old world, or unfinished business he never truly escaped. What makes this scene even more powerful is what doesn't happen afterward. Tommy doesn't explain the call. He doesn't warn anyone. He simply moves differently. His choices feel heavier. His risks feel more planned. That tells us the call planted an idea in his head. Maybe a backup plan. Maybe a dangerous alliance. Maybe a reminder that no matter how far Tommy runs, the past always finds him. This phone call is not meant to be solved in one episode. It is a slow burn clue. A seed planted early so it can grow later. The writers want fans talking, guessing, and connecting dots across shows. This moment is not about shock. It's about direction. From here on, every move Tommy makes carries the shadow of that call. And most importantly, this call proves one thing clearly. Tommy is no longer just playing the Chicago game. Someone from outside that world just stepped back into his life. And once that door opens, it never closes quietly. The biggest question after that phone call is simple, but dangerous. Who would Tommy Egan actually stop and listen to? Over the years, many people have tried to reach him, threaten him, or pull him back into old business. Most of them ended up ignored, betrayed, or buried. So this call instantly removes a long list of names. This is not just anyone. This is someone who has power over Tommy without using fear. The first name that comes to mind for many fans is Tariq St. And that idea is not random. The Power Universe has spent years building a quiet connection between Tommy and Tariq. Even after Ghost's death, their relationship was never friendly, but it was real. They understood each other in a way most people never could. Tariq learned survival from Ghost, but he learned ruthlessness by watching Tommy. That bond never truly broke. What makes Tariq a strong possibility is timing. In his own world, Tariq is reaching a point where he needs stronger allies. His problems are growing faster than his control. Meanwhile, Tommy is building an empire in Chicago but still lacks someone who understands the New York game like he does. A call between them would not be emotional. It would be practical, short, direct, dangerous, exactly like the one we saw. But the writers also love misdirection. Sometimes the most obvious answer is meant to distract us. There are other figures from Tommy's past who could shake him like this. People connected to old family business, unfinished debts, or secrets buried long ago. These are characters who don't need to raise their voice. Their history with Tommy already says enough. Another important clue is how calm Tommy stays during the call. If this were an enemy, his body language would change fast. If this were someone weak, he wouldn't bother answering. The calm tells us this is a conversation between equals, someone who doesn't need to prove themselves, someone who can offer something Tommy actually needs. The show also uses silence as a weapon here. We don't hear the voice clearly because the identity matters more than the words. Power often reveals truth through reaction, not dialogue. Tommy's reaction suggests recognition, not surprise. That means this person didn't come out of nowhere. This is someone Tommy has been expecting. Even if he didn't want to admit it, there's also the question of why the call happens now. The Power universe never places moments like this randomly. Every season builds toward crossover moments slowly. The call is not the crossover itself. It's the signal that one is coming. The writers are telling us to look beyond force and think bigger, think connected. Whoever was on the other end of that line knows exactly where Tommy is, what he's building, and why he might fail alone. That kind of knowledge doesn't come from distance. It comes from shared blood, shared battles, or shared sins. And when someone like that reaches out, it's never for small talk. This call wasn't about asking for help. It was about reminding Tommy that his story is not finished with certain people yet. And the scariest part is this: Tommy didn't hang up. He stayed on the line. That choice alone tells us the caller still holds real power in Tommy's world. Tommy, Egan, and Tariq St. Patrick were never meant to be allies, but they were never true enemies either. Their relationship lived in a dangerous middle space shaped by loss, anger, and survival. After Ghost's death, everything between them felt unfinished. There was no clean ending. Only distance and silence. And in the Power universe, silence usually means something is waiting to come back. Tommy watched Tariq grow up inside a world filled with lies and violence. He saw a kid who was supposed to have a future slowly turn into someone who could make hard choices without blinking. That kind of change leaves a mark on both sides. Tommy never fully trusted Tariq, but he understood him. He knew where Tariq's darkness came from because it looked a lot like his own. For Tariq, Tommy was never just Ghost's partner. He was the proof that survival didn't need excuses. Tommy never pretended to be clean or good. He owned who he was. That honesty, twisted as it was, made an impact on Tariq. Even when they stood on opposite sides, that influence stayed. You can see it in how Tariq handles pressure, how he reacts when things fall apart, and how fast he adapts when plans fail. What makes their story feel unfinished is that neither man ever truly won against the other. There was no final showdown, no clear revenge, no moment where one walked away stronger. They simply moved in different directions, carrying the same scars. That kind of ending leaves space. And writers love space because it allows stories to breathe and return when the timing feels right. Now both men are leaders. Tommy is building control in Chicago, fighting to keep power without losing himself. Tariq is doing the same in his own world, juggling enemies, trust issues, and the weight of his father's legacy. They are mirrors of each other in different cities, different styles, same struggle. That parallel is not accidental. It's groundwork. The Power universe thrives on cycles. Sons become fathers, students become teachers. Tariq stepping into Ghost's shadow while crossing paths with Tommy again feels natural. Not forced. It's not about friendship. It's about understanding the rules of survival better than anyone else in the room. Together, they know those rules too well. Another important layer is trust. Neither Tommy nor Tariq trusts easily. But when they do, it's because they see something familiar. Shared trauma builds faster bonds than loyalty ever could. If they reconnect, it won't be emotional. It will be quiet, careful, and built on shared benefit. That makes it far more dangerous. Their story never ended because it was never meant to. It was paused. And now, with both men standing at critical points in their lives, that pause feels ready to break when characters grow separately but stay connected through history. The reunion is never simple. It brings old guilt, old anger, and old truths back into the light. If Tommy and Tariq cross paths again, it won't be about the past. It will be about what they've both become. And that confrontation, whether it turns into an alliance or a war, has been slowly written into the Power universe for years. Understanding the crossover timeline is the key to making sense of that phone call. The Power universe does not run its shows in isolation. Each story is placed carefully on the same clock. Even when characters are in different cities, Force. Season 3 is happening during a period where events in Tariq's world are also reaching a breaking point. The writers are not telling two separate stories. They are telling one large story from different angles. Tommy's life in Chicago looks disconnected on the surface, but the timing of major events lines up more than it seems. Power Book 4. Force Season 3 takes place after Tommy has fully separated himself from New York physically, but not emotionally. At the same time, Tariq is stepping deeper into the role his father once held. Both men are facing the same pressure from different directions. Power, enemies, and the cost of survival are closing in on them at the same pace. The Power universe uses overlap instead of direct meetings to keep things smooth. Rather than showing big crossover scenes right away, the writers drop clues like phone calls, off-screen mentions, and quiet references. This keeps each show strong on its own while still building towards something bigger. The mystery phone call fits perfectly into this method. It connects timelines without forcing characters into the same room too soon. Another important detail is how consequences travel between shows. When something big happens in one series, the effects don't always appear immediately in another. Sometimes they arrive as pressure, opportunity, or warning. That call feels like a warning, a signal that events outside Chicago are about to affect Tommy's plans whether he wants them to or not. The timeline also explains why the call is short and vague. At this point in the universe, both Tommy and Tariq are too busy surviving to explain everything. They don't need long conversations. They already know the stakes. The call exists to align their paths, not to resolve them. It tells the audience that these stories are moving toward each other even if the characters haven't crossed paths. Yet, the writers are careful to avoid confusion. They don't want casual viewers to feel lost, but they want loyal fans to notice the connections. That's why the call is subtle. It doesn't stop the story. It quietly changes its direction. From this moment on, Tommy's decisions can no longer be viewed as only Chicago-based. They are part of a wider network of consequences. This timeline approach also protects future seasons. By placing this call now, the writers leave space for the crossover to grow naturally. It could lead to a brief meeting, a shared enemy, or even a full alliance later. The exact form doesn't matter yet. What matters is that the clock is now shared. Once timelines merge, separation becomes an illusion. That phone call proves the Power universe is tightening its circle. Different shows, same timeline, same danger. And from here on, every move carries weight beyond one city.